to own it. Just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here. Oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you.
Thank you for coming on Everything Sparkle today. What goodies did you bring me?
Well, thanks for having me. And what we brought is
This one.
that is our ginger shot. That's actually the #1 selling item on our menu.
Awesome.
And it's cold pressed ginger, apple, and lemon together. Then we have our #1 selling cold pressed juice, which is hardcore greens. So it's got your dark leafy greens, which are the healthiest plants,
Right.
vegetables, period, on the planet, mixed with apple, lemon, lime, and ginger. Our almond milk is homemade. We make that from scratch every single day.
Oh my God, I love almond milk.
One of the ways that we separate ourselves from our competition, but we also blend this with dates, vanilla, and cinnamon.
Oh my God, I gotta try this now. This sounds amazing.
Have you ever had horchata before?
Yeah.
It's like a healthy horchata. You need to give it a good shake, though.
Oh my God, this tastes really good.
Give it a good shake.
Is there oats in here too?
No. It's literally our homemade almond milk, dates, and
This is so delicious.
crazy, yeah.
I love this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's one of our top sellers as well. But
I could see why it's
We use-
delicious. Oh my gosh.
we use almond milk in everything. We're a dairy-free store.
Why am I getting a little bit of cinnamon in here?
Yeah, there's cinnamon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this is so amazing.
It's ground cinnamon, vanilla extract that's non-alcoholic, that's also organic,
Oh my gosh.
and then our homemade almond milk.
This is like a taste of heaven.
It's just like that. Yeah, we've heard a lot of other descriptions, but that's very good. But our almond milk we use in all of our smoothies, and again, we fresh press that daily, so it's become a big hit, and people understand this is a better option because even when you go to a grocery store, you look on the back where the ingredients, and it's almonds, but it's like 6 or 7 other ingredients.
Right.
And they do that. They add fillers, they add binders. They do this to extend the shelf life of the actual almond milk.
Right.
So you can have almond milk, you open it, and it's good for 2 weeks to 3 or 30 days. Our almond milk's 3 days because it's just
It's not
natural.
fresh. You got to do it fresh.
It is what it is. And then we have orange savior, orange, carrot, apple, lemon, and ginger. So top 2 selling juices, #1 selling item on the menu, period.
What is that?
This is
the
it.
ginger.
This is
The ginger.
shot.
Okay.
Yeah, these are for us to
Like
take a shot.
So
Yeah.
is that supposed to give me energy or make me happy, or both?
Well, the way that I describe it, it's like a slap in the face because it's very spicy. But ginger is one of the most potent anti-inflammatories that Mother Nature's given us.
Right.
So it's great for everything, heart, brain, you name it. It's got a good beneficial for you with this. So that's why it's become our biggest seller. Funny thing is, we've had customers that come in, they've never even heard of a ginger shot. They try it for the first time, and they make like the most awful face on the planet because it's very spicy. It's like a punch. But then guess what? They come back the next day and they, you know what? Let me have 2 of them.
Because they like the way it felt.
It did something for them. And that's just what's happening. And so we actually added ginger shots to the menu quite late, and we were surprised when it became such a big hit. But most people don't get ginger in their diet, so this is a good way to supplement.
Definitely. I was thinking about that recently. That's so funny that you bring that up about how we're not getting enough ginger, because it is so potent.
Well, that's really the mission of what raw earth juicery is in general. I mean, 80% of Americans don't get enough fruits and vegetables in their diet, right?
Right.
95% don't get enough fiber. I mean, they're full of it, literally. I mean, they're not getting it out of them. So what our store does is it helps facilitate an easier way to get fruits and vegetables into your diet. One reason or another, they're just not doing it. They don't like to cook it. They don't know how to cook it. They don't like the flavor, the texture. Who knows? They don't like broccoli. They don't like asparagus. They don't like kale. All these things they just don't like for one reason or another. So we just make it easier to get it in your diet. Look, you got to get it in one way or another.
You really do.
You have to. And so that's really all in a nutshell that we're doing. We're just providing an easier way to get your fruits and vegetables in regularly.
So where are the locations that we go?
Right now we have 3 locations. We have Cedar and East, which is North Fresno, and then we also have Fresno and Front, which is North Fresno, next to Heirloom, next to Trader Joe's, the newer shopping center. And then our newest location is in Clovis, off of Temperance and Alluvial, 168, across from, on the other side of the freeway from Clovis Community.
So it's where the Me and Ed's and all that
Correct,
stuff
yeah,
is, right?
right in there.
Okay.
That's our newest location. We've been there since June. We are also working on our 4th location, which is at Campus Point. It used to be the old Farm Fresh Bowls, Mayan Theater, all that stuff right in there.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So we're working on that, and that's actually going to be a juicery/cafe where we're going to have also some food and little, like, more like appetizer salads, kind of soups kind of thing. Not really full-blown like a menu for sit down, but it's going to complement everything that we do here.
So how did this all start?
This happened over a long period of time. It was a long thing coming. My brother got me into juicing many, many years ago. He started juicing back in 2002. He got me into juicing a few years after that. I kind of thought it was like a hippie, weird kind of thing.
Right. I think there's a lot of conceptions on that.
For sure. And you know, arguably, I'm much more hippie than he is. I mean, I've been plant-based vegan for 6 years, 6.5 years. And
wow,
yeah,
really?
Yeah, no meat, no dairy, no eggs, nothing for over 6 years. So this has been a very, very big part of my life, just naturally because this is what I do on a regular basis. And juicing became a big part of my life because in a lot of ways it saved me. I mean, right now I'm about 178, 175 on average. I used to be almost 250. So, and it was bad. Like I had 4 chins and big gut, and it was weird. But juicing helped me alleviate myself of a lot of different illnesses and diseases. I won't get into details.
That is so extreme that you went from that to like.
Right, I did a juice fast. I did a juice cleanse, and that's actually
well,
something.
I understand that, but the fact that you're the plant-based vegan for 6 years is blowing my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I have a black belt in that now. I mean, it's on autopilot. At first, it was very, very difficult. I mean, my background, our ethnicity, we're Hispanic mostly, and if you know anything about Hispanic culture, like. You know,
that's fair.
Right. It's you wake up in the morning, you fry eggs, you get lard, you fry the eggs in the lard, and you don't throw that away, right? You got to save. That's good. That's good grease. You know, you cook your beans and your rice and everything goes in lard. You throw more lard on that, and then everything has cheese and very, very rich, very, very unhealthy. And so that was my culture, and I didn't know any better, and that's what we did. So all these things this is where it stemmed from. We come from a background that's very, very unhealthy. We come from a culture and a society that's very unhealthy. Everything is very, very quick. Everything is rich, refined carbohydrates. I mean, you're very fit and you're into nutrition and these types of things. So I'm sure that you've come across a lot of this stuff where clients that you have, they tell you about their diet, and it's like the average person, it's like Captain Crunch for breakfast, and I'm gonna have some eggs and hash browns and bacon from a fast food joint, and then don't have any idea. It's common knowledge.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So you have to kind of overcome that and really give people the idea that, look, something has to change here. You got to do something, and this is why we are the sickest country on the planet. We have the obesity rate is through the roof. Children are becoming more and more obese now than ever before. And also all these chronic illnesses are starting earlier. And they're finding plaque in arteries at age 10, 12, 15. This is insane.
Diet's the source of most health problems. It really is. So
it's the #1 killer in the world, the American diet today. So it's the #1 reason why you, me, or any of our loved ones will go to the hospital is because of the diet that we have. I actually just saw this last night as I wanted to see what I was getting myself into. I checked out one of your podcasts or interviews a few days ago. You had a gentleman on here talking about the fentanyl thing. Okay, tragic. I mean, that was crazy. Very informative. I enjoyed it, by the way. But tragic. And he's absolutely right. That is an epidemic, and we got to do something about it. Okay. The diet issue is that I would extend on steroids times 10, because this affects everybody. This isn't just reduced to a community.
Well, that's been my thing for a long time. I'm like, if I was doing heroin right now, you would knock the needle out of my hand. But if you were like 500 pounds and eating a donut, I can't knock the donut out of your hand without being like a terrible person.
You'd get vilified. I mean, you'd be crucified in public for doing something.
Right, but it's the same. It's almost essentially the same thing.
Right.
It's just as
harmful. For many years, I've argued that in order for us to ever tackle the health issue, we need to treat it as if it is an addiction, a drug addiction of the sort. We need to make it that big of a deal, Because until then, we're just going to keep sweeping it under the rug and take a pill for this, take a pill for that kind of thing, you know, and it doesn't get anywhere. The pills, they just numb the symptom. They don't do anything about the problem.
Right.
So, not to kind of segue that we're saving the world here, but in a very real way, we're just like, again, we're making fruits and vegetables sexy. You want to get these kinds of things into your body, and you want to do it one way or another. And one of the biggest skepticism that I had when my brother was kind of creating this and molding everything together is Fresno ready for this? This was 2016.
That's a very big point, yeah.
It was scary because we were living in Vegas at the time. We're from Fresno. We've lived in Fresno our whole lives, but for about 4 years, my brother and I lived in Vegas. And these things were everywhere. You know, juice bars, they're all over the place.
I lived in LA for 15 years. I know. I came back here, and yeah, Fresno's different. It's just different.
100%. The vibe is different. The lifestyle is different. Everybody's into fitness and all these kinds of things. Anyways, we come back to Fresno, and if we want to get a green juice, we want to, you know, we're these new woke people. It's like, I want a green juice now. So there was nowhere to go. And we didn't want to do any of the commercial places that, you know,
I know what you're thinking.
Okay, right. So we didn't want to do that. We wanted real juice without actually pulling out our juicer, making a mess and dealing with that stuff. So that's when the light bulb kind of came on. My brother really started digging his heels into the dirt and grinding and creating a concept. And I came in with marketing and sales, and also I've lived in the kitchen since 9 years old. I've been cooking since I was 9. I understand textures and flavors and how to combine things and make things taste good and look good at the same time. So we make a great team. You know, we definitely complement each other on that. He's a numbers guy, and he's, you know, the chemist, and he's in the lab, and he's, you know, those kinds of things. And on the flip side, I just want to make things sell, and I want to make them taste good, and I also want to introduce something that's going to make people healthier.
How did you find out that Fresno was ready for this and that they started to accept your juices?
Trial and error. In the lion's den. You know, we just jumped in the deep end without any life suit or anything like that. It was just, let's figure it out.
So you listened to feedback. People would be like, I like this, I don't like this, and then you kind of molded the juices that you have now?
Sure. So we started off with a very large menu. Like our menu, I think, even right now is extensive. It's large. I would say it is. You know, we have probably 24, 25 items on our menu.
This is just so delicious. I'm sorry, this is like the best thing ever.
Yeah, so we had a big menu, but when we first opened, it was like almost 40. So we took the things that customers were ordering regularly, and we just kind of refined and got better and got smarter. But the biggest thing that I was getting back to what I was saying about the skepticism is, you know, we are a premium product, and we charge a premium price for that. We're not going to get into the details of that, but I'm just saying, was Fresno ready to spend big dollars on this kind of thing? Because it's like, you know, they're used to something that's very, very reasonable that you would get at like a fast food place. Are they going to be willing to spend a premium price for something like this? And pleasantly surprised. Again, we didn't know. I didn't know. My brother was very optimistic. But, you know, opening up in the right part of town, paying attention to demographic, doing research, things like that was all a part of it. Market research is very important.
Right.
And so taking all those things into consideration, he made the decision to pull the trigger on a location in North Fresno, and that was our flagship operation. And again, it turned into this big thing, and we're very, very popular. So it's been exciting. It's been great.
Do people give suggestions every now and then? Like, do you have this flavor, that flavor? Have you?
Almost every day. It's funny, and I don't mean to, like, because customers say, "Have you ever thought of?" And I don't even let them finish. Yes. I just stopped right there. Yes, we thought of it. No, it didn't work out. Or yes, it did work out, and it's on the menu. You just missed it. It's right here. And I tease them a little bit. I play with my customers quite a bit because we have like we're not corporate. We have a very like homey vibe.
And we love that. We're all about supporting our local businesses here. So it's really cool. We can go into a place and, you know, talk to and be like, hey.
One of the most amazing things about what we've done here is the family-oriented environment. I can't tell you how many barbecues, birthday parties, child's first birthdays, weddings.
Wow.
That we've been invited to. That me personally, I've been invited to.
That's so cool.
It's been insane. I mean, literally, we've seen customers come in newlyweds. Then, customer wife gets pregnant. We see the baby grow in the belly. We see the baby in the stroller 9 months later, and then we're celebrating first birthdays, and so it's happened dozens of times, and I mean, that's one of the most rewarding things about this. Tell you about another really rewarding thing. My husband has been in critical condition with this critical illness for so long. Doctors gave him this much time to live. Ever since we've been bringing him your guys' product, he's been happier. We truly believe that it extended his life even further. I mean, all sorts of
That's rewarding.
All sorts of things like this that have happened, and it's like, I've gotten choked up with customers before because it's like, I remember so-and-so used to come in and they're not here anymore. And it's like, man, I remember me and that guy were having a conversation, and, you know, whatever. Like, all those things have been rewarding, even something as sad as that. It's still like, you know, you made a connection with somebody. I'm not just the guy at the counter, or we're not just somebody selling a product and we don't see you ever again, or we're not just a fast food place where you can interact with 20 different people at different times. No, we develop relationships, we build clientele based on that relationship, and it just spreads like a brush fire. And it's very, very, very rewarding. It's something that I'm especially proud of, and this isn't work. This is not work. I enjoy this.
This is your passion.
I hop out of bed ready to go, ready to talk to customers, ready to work on our product, ready to go buy fruits and vegetables. Like, my staff was making fun of me not too long ago. It's like I'm pulling this big, large, beautiful thing of kale out of the bag, and I'm like, look at this thing. Look at how great this is.
Like it's a baby.
But that's what happens. It's like you get caught up, and I'm like, look at the leaves. Look at how crunchy these leaves are. This thing is fresh. It's ready to go. Let's juice this guy. Come on, hey, let's go. So it's just I get excited about it, and that's I think that customers kind of get that energy off of us, and they're like, yeah, you know what, kale is cool. Dark greens are cool. Berries are great. Nuts and seeds are cool.
Do you go to our local growers, a lot of organic local growers, to get your products?
Yeah, whatever we can get local, we will get local.
Okay.
Pineapples and mangoes and things like that, we're not actually, you know, if we,
Right.
But if we can get local and it's reasonable, then we will. We are a 100% organic cold pressed juicer. We're the only ones in the entire Central Valley. So
Wow.
Pros and cons. It's great because we get to hold that badge and we're proud of it, but it can create some challenges because it's a limited amount of distributors, limited amount of farmers, limited amount of availability, period. All of our oranges and our orange juice recently, we had to give a huge price increase and hike because of the limitation on oranges lately, and we just haven't even been able to get them. And Sprouts, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, Costco, you name it, I've gone there, I've asked.
Oh my gosh.
You couldn't get them. And so they finally became available. Well, the price is double, and in some places it's even triple.
Oh my.
So it's keep the price the same and lose money, or we have to hike it up a few bucks just to kind of
Because your cost is
take
up.
care
I
of
know
it,
all
yeah.
about that.
So again, those are challenges that conventional produce, non-organic produce, they don't necessarily have to face those kinds of things.
Right.
So again, we wear the badge of honor of being 100% organic and raw, but it does create challenges.
Do you ever do kind of like a diet plan? So like you mentioned pregnant women that come in, whatever. Do they come to you and be like, I need this and this? What do you suggest I do? I want to do something where I'm not getting tired of the same juice every day. I want to get like a juice here a day. What should I do? What vitamins? Do you ever get that where it's kind of like you're doing a diet plan, but not really? Do you ever get that?
That's a great question. And actually, that happens pretty regularly. We have to be really careful about how we go about that.
Because you're not a doctor.
We're not doctors. And that's the first thing out of my mouth, and that's the first thing that I coach my team to say, because there's a lot of controversy about everything. Anytime you talk about health at the dinner table, on a first date or whatever, I mean, there's all this taboo around it. There's a lot of controversy.
Right.
So you just have to be careful in general. But Yeah, I mean, we have that conversation, and especially with pregnant women, we have to be careful because Dr. A will be totally, you cannot have pasteurized juice, this, that, and the other, A, B, C, D, here's the literature on it, blah, blah, blah. So they're, that customer's freaking out and they come to us and they're like, oh my God, and then customer B talks to another doctor, it's totally fine, you just got to watch out for these ingredients, or you have to watch out for this, that, and the other. So they come in and they buy juice regularly. We have customers on both ends that we fulfill that. But so to answer your question, yes, it does happen, but B, we have to be very careful about how we go about that. In terms of giving the customers variety, like, hey, I've tried this juice, I've tried that one. Is there one that I haven't tried, or what you guys introduce? Sure, we try to just give them the variety of the different flavors that we have. Currently right now we have 6 different juices on our menu, 2 different types of plant milk flavors, and then we also have our wellness shots, which is ginger, which is the #1 seller. But we just try to give them the variety of that. But our juices are one part of our business. We also do smoothies and smoothie bowls.
Oh, I like that.
These are more the meal types. So juices aren't necessarily meant to replace a meal. These are supplement-ish.
I get it.
And there's way better than like this isn't broken down in a lab, shoved into a capsule,
right,
sitting on a shelf, you don't know how long or when it was manufactured. This is raw juice that we're literally running through our machine this morning, and we're bottling it here on site. So it's live, it's raw, it's organic, it's fresh. Like, that's different. This is a true supplement form that's going to actually give you live nutrients right now, and you're gonna have that in your system. So the thing about juice, we don't digest juice. You drink juice, it hits the lining of your stomach, it's in your bloodstream, boom, you absorb it. It's one of the benefits of getting quick nutrients. Smoothies, that's like a meal replacement. That's where you're actually putting the whole food, you're smashing everything into the blender, you're getting the fiber, you're getting the phytonutrients, phytochemicals, you're getting all that good stuff that comes into the smoothie. And there is a hierarchy of how you should consume fruits and vegetables, or how you should consume food in general.
Right.
In a perfect world, there would be no need for us. Everybody's eating ginormous salads. They're shoving their face with bananas, apples, oranges, whatever. Everybody's just doing really, really good on that front. So eating the physical fruit, that's the best way to consume your fruits and vegetables. Again, no need for us if that were the case.
Right.
But we are booming and we are doing really well because that is not the case. So we have to give customers an easier way to get their fruits and vegetables. So if you're not going to consume, you're not going to peel, chew, and swallow, the next best thing, smash it in the blender, get it all in there, and drink everything. It's all of the fiber, all the phytonutrients, everything is still in there, and you're just getting it in a quicker way. So again, pros and cons. The con is we have dietary fluids in our saliva that help us break down certain fruits and vegetables and gain the benefit immediately when it hits our mouth. We don't necessarily get so much of that interaction when we blend it because it's happening in the blender.
Right.
But at least it's keeping everything intact. So then we just take that and put it in a cup and we're drinking it. So again, we don't have time. I don't want to drink a smoothie. I don't want to be bloated. I want to be full. Whatever the excuse is, fine. Juice is the next best thing. Okay. So this is the hierarchy. Eating it, no. Drinking it in a whole form, okay. No, I don't have time. Whatever. Juice is the next best way.
That makes sense.
The bottom line is, just get it in.
Just get it in.
One way or another.
Thank you so much for coming on my show. And then everyone can just follow the Raw Earth Juicery on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything?
Instagram and Facebook. Working on Twitter. I've kind of been, I'm not really a tweeter.
And as far as like the menu goes, the website?
Website, we have a menu, PDF.
Do you guys deliver at all?
Uber Eats.
Nice. You guys can get your juices delivered to you, so there's no excuse. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
welcome to Everything Sparkle. I'm so happy that you're here today. You're doing a lot. Tell us about what's going on with your nonprofit that you're starting and your documentary.
Well, thank you so much for having me. First of all, I think you are amazing. And we are a lot alike, so being here before this was hanging out with you is very cool. The documentary that I'm working on is actually has come from actually all the work that I've done to work towards my nonprofit.
And you were approached by it, and this is really interesting to me. I think you're the first person I've had a documentary about that's been on the show. and then you were approached. They said we want to do a documentary about you. So
you know what? Honestly, that's exactly how it feels like when you just said you're the first person. Like it feels that way. Just being that person, like I'm the first person that I know that's ever been in a documentary, so it's all uncharted, even in my own life. So, but yeah, he came to me and he heard my story on a radio show interview, and they had me on 99.3 and 93.3, and it was actually to talk about my ride for the homeless, and I was doing a big ride. It was called Porta Potty for Dignity Ride. And all this trickles to everything that you're talking to and we're talking about right now, which is the nonprofit, and it's called Solutions for Dignity. And so what Joel came about, what he heard was basically is someone who basically had a pretty hard childhood, and came across, and basically that part of my life shaped the rest of my life until I could figure it out. That had such a big pivotal part in my life, and he just saw a really compelling story of someone who had fallen really hard, and had wanted a way out and couldn't find a way out, and didn't realize that going to the homeless could do that for me. Make me want to live again and exist again. And so it was really compelling to him to hear that.
What's a misconception about homeless people that you think a lot of people have, or like the fear? Why are we not helping the homeless more, and why are we afraid? Like, what do you think's the problem with society and homeless?
Well, I think the first reaction is that either they're on alcohol, or they're an alcoholic or a drug addict, or
like they don't deserve to be helped because they're like the lowest. Okay.
And not to say that's not true. I do believe that the part that I'm coming and trying to share with everyone is that same person that does not look compelling, or someone that you wouldn't want to go up to and help is me. That's who I was, and here we are talking in a room, and in the streets of Sacramento. You wouldn't want to come and talk to me, and I was that individual that just gave you every reason to not want to even help me, although I needed every single help that could have been offered to me. So, and I want people to understand that. When I was born, and when I was 8 years old, 9 years old, 15 years old, I didn't say if my, parents' friend, asked me, or, what do you want to do when you grow up? I didn't say, oh, I want to be homeless one day and figure that shit out, or that stuff out, sorry.
Like the old commercial, no one ever says I want to be a junkie when I grow up. It's like kind of say, yeah.
Yeah, no one ever says I want to be a junkie. And, and so there's a whole, I don't think it just happens. And so my goal in this documentary is to share my story in a vulnerable way that's very uncomfortable for me, and probably it's going to be uncomfortable for my family.
I can only imagine. That takes a lot of courage on your part.
Yeah, and it's thank you so much. Thank you for saying that, because it does, because I do love them so very much, and I do have a lot of great parts of them as well. So to be able to stand up for the little girl in me, and to be able to still love those individuals is a process, and I'm getting there. They're amazing human beings, but to be able to grow and to develop in a way where I can be, I have a son now, and to be the best.
How old's your son?
It just turned 2 months.
Oh, what a cutie pie.
I know, so we're already chatting it up, and You know, I want to be the best person that I can for, and knowing that my parents did the best that they could. I understand that they did the best that they could, and some of it was a little bit wrong, and so I want to make sure that I do the best that I can for my son, and be the best version of myself, and not bring the constant, you know, we kind of have that cultural kind of tradition that we just don't talk about things. We don't discuss struggles. We don't talk about what he may feel. How are you feeling? You know, I'm sorry if you're, you know, letting him cry, you know, and not saying, you know, dude, don't cry. If you keep crying, I'm going to hit you again. You know, I'm sure we've all heard that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so like, as much as a parent does it to tell us to be quiet, like that affected me for a very long time.
I think it's a lot in our ethnic cultures that we have a very like, you know, just there, as you said, like it's a cultural thing, and it's like this is how you behave, this is how you act, that's how it is.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think also as well, I think it's an anxiety reaction from our parents, and I think that they may not even know that, and so that's why I also make a point to let everybody know that this documentary is also like in love of my family as well, and my parents, because I also feel like they deserve to live a better life, you know, than what they think they deserve, or what their minds tell them that their capacity of a human being of kindness is as well.
Well, I think it comes down to accountability, because you started taking accountability like, this is my life, this is what, so now trying to expect accountability from other people, which is what needs to kind of happen. They need to now take accountability, like, okay, even though we didn't mean to cause this,
yes.
You know, some of our actions did do this, and Absolutely. What did we do? Because you've taken accountability for your life. Hey, I did this, I've been here, and now I'm going to help, I'm going to turn everything that I went through into this now.
Absolutely.
So that hopefully they can use that, what you're trying to, like, part of the goal.
That is my goal, you know, because if my parents or anybody else who's in my situation, if they could understand that, and I'm not asking them to say that they're wrong. I'm asking them to take accountability so that they can also help me, and maybe in an amends kind of way, give me the best chance that I can have too as well. Like taking accountability to say, hey, I had struggles and I wasn't the best parent, and I'm sorry if I kind of jacked you up a little bit, you know, and even a little bit of that would help me to understand that that there's some human in there, and there's some apology, there's some empathy, so there's some, and take accountability. Like, I'm sorry that I did this to you, it was wrong, but it's really hard to have that kind of conversation when you have the old cultural thinking. And I've had this conversation with many people who have my parents the same age, you know, many people. My wife, you know, she's experiencing a lot of the same things, and you know, and we both, like, we wouldn't even be able to breathe if our parents, you know, were gone tomorrow, you know, and especially our fathers, if they were gone tomorrow, it would devastate us, you know. So imagine what our relationship could be if they did do those things, if they did say, hey, you know, I love you, and I didn't do all the right things, but now I know those weren't the right things, and what can I do now to help you?
Right.
How amazing would that be?
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing.
So you have a lot of struggles, some substance abuse struggles. You were homeless yourself for a little while.
I was.
So what point did you turn around and you're like, I'm going to channel this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to help? Like, at what point did you think, I got this, this is what I'm going to do?
You know, I got sober 10 years ago, and at that point, I knew I didn't have a hold of it. At that point, I didn't have a hold of anything, and I was just existing, and so there was a part of me that really desired to have a purpose in life, and so I just didn't know what that looked like. And not to say that I didn't have examples, it's just that I didn't know who I was. So I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't have much autonomy in my life, and I pretty much shaped my life out of surviving. So how
survival mode,
yes.
Fight or flight,
yes.
No like vision of.
Exactly. So it took me a hot minute to get that vision. So in order to find that vision, I got sober. And then I met myself, and I was like, whoa, it was very disturbing.
You got a love-hate relationship with yourself, huh?
I do. I talk loud, you know, I I have that natural, you know, they say when you get sober, you come in at the age that you got sober or that you started drinking.
Right,
And I'm
right.
like, God, when did I start drinking? Was it 8? Because I swear I'm like 8 sometimes. But you meet yourself, and, you know, everybody has their own journey when they get sober. And for me, it created a sense of, you know, I had a reprieve from my old life. And it was enough reprieve to get me to stand up on my own 2 feet, you know, got a job, you know, worked for an incredible law firm, Lang, Rickard and Patch.
Wow,
And
that's cool.
Yeah, they were amazing. My first year I got Employee of the Year. And
Nice.
yeah, and Frank Lang, one of the founders, he's amazing. He just passed, but he was like, took me under his wing like a father. And so he taught me a lot about what that should look like. So I've been given the gifts of just all the right divine moments to get me to a place where I knew that I had to start doing more with my life and giving back than just working 8 to 5.
And they helped give you the confidence to do that.
Oh, yeah. They saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. Because I still,
great.
I go through that every day.
I think we all do.
So, and that's, you know, and at that point, you know, I started to see what people were seeing in me, because these people who were of level, you know, attorneys and judges started to become my friends. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, I can have friends like then.
You weren't scared of them anymore. They were now your.
Yeah, and so I felt like an equal, and I thought there was something. Maybe I had some. Maybe I was more intelligent than I thought. Maybe I was enough, and so I was just, you know, surrounded by the right people and sobriety, and just taught a new way of life. And then I just decided, like, I need to do something with this gift, and it gave me a sense of wanting to live again. And so that's when I went out to start to feed the homeless, and I had a gentleman who introduced me to it in sobriety, and we went out every weekend, and we just did hot dogs, you know, chips, a drink, you know, condiments, and a little sweet, you know, and you know, hot dogs you can carry around for a long time as a homeless. You can carry them around for a long time if they're in foil. So, you know, we would go do that, and it just became a consistent thing for me. And then I started getting my law firm involved, and I was able to come out in the like bar newspaper for that. So that was really cool. So it's just always stayed with me.
And then the porta potties.
The porta potties, yeah. The porta potties were a huge event in my life. It changed my life completely. And that's where the documentary comes in. And what happened was I got married, and a month after I got married, I had a neurologic event, and it's apraxia. And basically, you know, my memory was, it went everything. You would think I had a stroke or some sort of something happening in my brain, which I did, but it was apraxia, and they couldn't figure out what it was. But basically, I stuttered. I would hold a spoon and it would just drop. And so, and they sent me to UCSF. So they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And I was existing, but my life was horrific. And I was sober, and it was not what I thought it was going to be. It was like all my dreams have come true. And then I hit a wall. It was like, psh.
There's nothing worse than a medical. That's hard to overcome.
It was an unexpected left hook. And so, and just to make it quick, you know, I got to a place where I didn't want to live, but I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want to live, but I didn't want to die. And so I had to figure something out quickly, because I was married and I was including someone on the journey. And so I knew that even when I was homeless, as horrific as it was the most non-judgmental place ever, you know, and I could be me. And so I went out to go do what I was taught to do in sobriety. And they didn't judge me. You know, I went out there slowly, and they didn't, you know, I talk fast. My mind even goes faster than I talk. So.
Oh, girl, you're preaching the choir here.
So, you know, basically the documentary is about a woman who has fallen down, a human being in this world, in this community, and was homeless, and goes back out to, has a neurologic event at the greatest part of her life, goes back out to feed the homeless, to find herself again, and realizes that the one soul human beings that people don't want to touch, go next to, even look that way were the only thing existing in this world that could heal me, that could make me love myself again enough to try to talk slower and realize that my mind was it needed to connect to somebody who was at the same level, and for some reason, being in a place where suffering feels comfortable, and going back to that, it's just so comfortable for me because it was a lot of my life. So, and they taught me to love myself. They depended on me, and they would tell me to slow down. They're like, dude, slow down. You're talking so loud, dude, go over there. And, I realized that, I have these incredible human beings who are loving me for who I am, but being funny with me and trying to get me to know that I'm just cool for who I am. And so there wasn't another human being, there wasn't enough money, there wasn't the greatest job, there wasn't the nicest car that could get me to want to live on this earth. And then these people, it's emotional. They were existing in the worst circumstances, and I had so much to live for. And so, I decided, instead of looking at life as if it was thrown at me in a really bad way, I realized, dude, I had to look at it a different way. I had to take it and see for what it was, and realize that, you're alive. And, when I was out doing drugs and alcohol, oh, God, I can't even believe I'm still alive, the places I put myself in the situations. And, my neurologic event, it could have been a tumor, it could have been cancer, it could have been a stroke where I'm walking crooked, and, I realized that I was the biggest struggle against myself at that time, because I forgot that I wasn't the most important person in my universe. And when I started stepping outside and seeing that there were people who could use the gifts that were given to me and the best part of me, then I was like, and they helped me to want to live again. I felt like I learned a secret. I feel like I have a secret, and I keep telling people, if you really want to feel some really good stuff, and you really want to go home and go, wow, this house is amazing, right, just go out with me and, come and feed the homeless and, experience their daily life of, all the things they take for granted. And so, to be honest, they just helped me, see life, just how special it is, and we just take it for granted every day, even this very moment, how amazing is it that we are existing in this moment. You and I get to talk in front of a camera,
right,
and talk about our experiences together. And you have to get here a certain way, and you're inspiring people by being so amazing, and your personality is so you can't help it want to come here and be interviewed by you.
Oh, thank you. And then how do we get involved? Because your nonprofit is getting underway. You're just still doing the porta potties, or is that done?
Porta Potties for Dignity. That was a fundraiser to put porta potties over on Belmont and Venice. And now that fundraiser is done.
So you accomplished that goal.
Yeah, we accomplished that goal, yeah.
So the next chapter.
The next chapter is I am working on starting a nonprofit called Solutions for Dignity. And I am also on the board for the Dakota Eco Garden. So it's that is to be on that board of members who are all they all own huge businesses, corporate,
right,
they're all attorneys, retired, just really successful people. And so to be on that board also encouraged me that I could do something like this. So, and so the goal with Solutions for Dignity are to use the Maslow theory, basically go to our houseless, homeless, street people, everyone calls it different, but to go to our vulnerable and to love them where they're at, and to have the Solutions for Dignity are to say, they should be able to use the restroom somewhere every day.
Right. This is huge. I love that you did this.
Yeah, they should be able to take a shower somewhere. They should be able to do their laundry somewhere. They should be able to have a meal, 3 times a day. And this affects everything that I'm trying to provide through Solutions for Dignity are just the basic needs, because this affects their mental health, which then affects our community.
Very much so. Very, very much.
So my goal is in the whole core of Solutions for Dignity is to give our homeless the opportunity to come to us and get resources if they want to get sober, if they need mental health services, if they need dental services.
Right.
We want to be able to provide the basic care so that they are inspired to get off the streets. You know, you can't just give them a motel. It's great, you can give a motel room, and what we're doing for our community is great, but I think that if we can have more organizations to help out, you know, our mayor, and to help out, you know, our police department by providing more of the solutions that are kind of the gap that they can't provide for them.
Where can we go to get involved? Because this sounds great. So anybody listening that wants to help and wants to help raise money, either like give money or actually go out and get dirty with you, where do we go to look for that at this point? Because I know the nonprofit's not up yet.
Yeah.
So can we go on your social media? Where do we go?
Yeah, you can go to my social media. I am at Gordie Ochinero-Bermudez, and that's on Facebook. At Ochinero-Bermudez on Instagram. And you can also send an email to the Dakota Eco Garden.
Okay.
And reach out to the nonprofit there, and any way that that they can do to help sponsor me. They've already, you know, we've already talked about, you know, they've been so supportive in my journey, and you know, they see a sparkle, and so I do believe that it will come to life very sooner than later. So, and with people like you who allow me the platform to share my story and to let people know that I am someone who used to be homeless, and who used to have the struggles that some of the people who are homeless now. And I do believe that there are people who can get off the streets. And
that's what I was going to ask. You know, they always say, like, teach a man to fish, they're set for life, instead of giving them a fish. I totally botched that quote. You know exactly what I'm saying. And so what do you think it's a work? Because I think some people are like, maybe like, well, we can't just give them things. And I don't think that that's what you're doing. You're trying to provide resources. Like you said, we don't give them a motel room for a night. That's not, we need to give them.
Yes. You're right. I think there's a transitional state. It's kind of like, you know, when you go into a sobriety home and you go into detox, and you go into sober living, because you kind of transition and you kind of like learn to do things with assistance and support. I think that's what you have to do with the homeless. I think you have to, if you're going to provide a home for them, then give them the support in the home environment to be able to survive that. So I think that's what we need to be.
Right. No, so that's great. I love what you're doing. I'm all about it. We're going to keep in touch. We're going to keep an eye on this. And the documentary, do we know when it's going to be?
He said before the end of the year, and I was asking him what he thought, you know, if he came up with any names, and he said one that he really liked was Gordie Gives Back, so that sounds pretty cool. I like Enough, well, not Enough, but somewhere in that area, but something of a feeling like, you know, like there's nothing that exists in this world that shouldn't make you feel like you're not enough.
Thank you so much for coming on my show.
Thank you. You're amazing.
Hi, Steve. Thank you for coming on the Everything Sparkle show. We've talked about having you on for a while, so tell us what you're here to discuss today.
We have. Thank you, Sparkle, for having me. And we have been talking about this for a minute now. What I'm talking about today is my new book called Me in Theory by Stephen T. Watson. And, you know, it's a book of theories that I've used, Sparkle, to, like yourself, I'm a personal trainer, and I've used these theories to teach my students, as well as I've had the honor of mentoring a lot of young men. And there are a lot of the theories I've used to try and keep these guys on the straight path, and quite frankly, keep my own crazy ass on the straight path.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about the theories that you've learned.
Well, A lot of them are written myself. Like, for example, one of them would be theories. One of the theories is called Balconies to the Penthouse. And Balconies to the Penthouse is one I use with people I train all the time, and they all get to hear it. And it's basically, it means you've been asked, you can have anything you want, any room you want in the whole building. You've decided you want the penthouse. Good choice. Only problem is they're not going to let you come inside the building. So do you just quit? No, you do not. So you find a balcony. You climb up on that balcony, and as soon as you get your feet up there and on a solid ground, then you look up to the next balcony, and that's where your goal is. That's where your focus is. You can't just jump to the penthouse from the floor. But if you focus one balcony at a time, you will get to the penthouse, no matter how many floors it is.
You think that's a lot of the problem is that people are too ambitious and it's like, I need this right now this way or else? Is that
it's big time, Sparkle. People want overnight results. You've done a lot of work in the physical area, and you have an amazing build, and you didn't get that physique overnight, and you don't keep it without working on it. And people don't realize how much work somebody with a good body puts in to keep it that way. One of my theories is it's easier to maintain than it is to create.
Oh, so, absolutely.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of stuff from that one around, and literally, Sparkle, these theories are all over the map. I have what I call my Bruce Lee bag. It's the space in my head where I keep all these theories. And I call it that because I thought Bruce Lee was the great collector of all martial arts and created Jeet Kune Do out of being the studier of all martial arts, not just Kung Fu. And so I call it my Bruce Lee bag because I grab things from everywhere and I put it in there. Whatever works for me, I'll throw it in there and try to share it in the book to see if it works for other people. Like one of them is called fire. Unfortunately, in today's time, Sparkle, if someone were to attack you on the street, if you were to holler help, there's a real good chance you might get a lot of closed windows and people looking the other way.
Oh, yeah.
But when you scream fire, this makes people all look out there. They want to see, is it their car burning up? Is it their property about to be on fire? And people come running to look at a fire. And this will get what you need. It will get you surrounded by people. And that is what will get the predator to stop attacking. And it also kind of throws them out of their groove. Like, what the hell? They're screaming fire. And so it's one of the theories I teach. It's a self-defense theory.
So what other books have you written in the past?
I have never written a book. It wasn't my idea. Actually, it just dropped off. I've been sharing the friends, family, and I've had a lot of them say, you need to write a book, man. You write a book. And until then, I hadn't actually realized how many of these theories I had. So I started jotting them down as they came up. It's not like I could sit and just pull them out of my ass on verbatim. So I sat there and I carried a pencil and paper around for a couple years. And just every time I'm like, oh, there's one of them. And I'd write it down. And eventually I had enough of them to put a little over 100 of them in a book.
That's so
until then, I've always done screenplays and I'm a songwriter.
This is the first time it's a book. It's a lot different. I know that's a lot of work.
It was a lot of work, but I one of the things that inspired me is watching an interview between Steve Edwards and Winona Judd, and she was talking about writing her book, and Steve laughs and he says, "Well, as a writer, your most valuable tool is your butt." And she starts laughing and she says, "Yeah, it is." And then he explains the reason is because to be a writer, the first thing you got to do is put your butt in a chair, sit down, start writing.
Wow. So how long did it take you to complete this? I know you were jotting for a while, but when you actually got to it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think you and I met like 2 years ago at a convention when I was doing a stunt fighting seminar. And I, at that point, had probably been writing it for a good 2.5, 3 years.
Wow.
So, there are things I've collected throughout my whole life, but didn't really start to think to note them down until like 5 years ago.
Man, that's so crazy. So where can we buy your book? Do you have a copy of it right now that you could show us?
Oh, I do too. for asking. There it is. Me in Theory, washed out with too much light, I think. But that's it.
There-
Me in Theory by Stephen T. Watson. And you can get it at Amazon. You can get it at, me being me, I Googled myself to see all the places I can get me. And, it's at Amazon. It's at Barnes & Noble, at all the regular spots. I found out that Thrifties sells books and Walmart sells books. I had no
Wow.
idea. Yeah, I didn't even know. There's a lot of really, really cool spots. I Google the book, Me in Theory by Stephen T. Watson. And all the options come up, as well as my press releases. I've had some really, really nice press releases come out over the last week that I'm super excited about.
What's some of the feedback that you're getting on it?
I'm getting really good feedback. I wrote it for the purpose of trying to make the planet a better place, one reader at a time. And had a few of the readers come to me and say, one of the repeated things I get is that, yeah, there's a handful of things in there that I put in my own, as you call it, your Bruce Lee bag, that I put in my head that I try to remember every day to keep myself calm and in place. One of them, a lot of people point out to me is don't let it rent that much space. And it's one of the theories I use all the time when I'm driving and some idiot cuts me off. Rather than get mad and cuss and scream and holler, I just don't let it rent that much space. And
so people that have read it and applied it into their lives, what kind of feedback are you getting from them?
Well, I'm hearing that it's helping them, that very little of it are things that they didn't know, but all of them are things that they needed to hear again.
That's a lot of things in life, I noticed. So that's really good. And then when they ask you of your experience in writing this book, because some people are like, what do you know? How do you know all this? Why'd you write this? What's your response?
Well, my response to it is that I lived all of this. Everything, as you will read in the book, every theory comes with a little story as to how the theory was created and where it came up from. And you can feel in the book, another review I had gotten from a really nice young lady named Dee Dee Martin, was she said that she could feel my connection with each of the theories and the stories and the passion that I had for sharing it. And to me, that was just an amazingly great compliment. I was very flattered.
So you can actually remember where each theory came from? That's so impressive.
Yeah, well, thank you. I actually have a scary great memory.
Way better than mine, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've had several people I've dated over my lifetime. Just it's a great thing when they can't remember something, but when they wish I had forgotten something, it doesn't work so well.
I could totally see it going that way. Oh my God. So we're gonna all get your book. And is it a long one? Is it a long one, or can I read it in a day? Come on, let me see.
You know what's kind of really groovy about this is that it's 136 pages, but it's not something that you have to read from beginning to end. And if you were to read a theory or two and set it down and go back a week or two later, a day or two later, and start reading again, you'd pick up to a brand new theory in a brand new place in my life and a brand new spot.
That's great. So it's like a coffee table book. That's great. So it's coming up for the holidays. That's a really good gift.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm hoping, is that people will give it a look. And when you go on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and just about everywhere, they'll let you preview it, and you can go through and read like 32 pages, I think it is.
Wow, really?
Yeah, Sparkle. I know, it shocked me. I'm like, at first I didn't see that it said 32 pages. I'm like, damn, are they giving my whole book away?
That would be my worry.
But if you thumb through it, you can get the whole table of contents and then probably about 12, 15 of the theories. And it gives you a real good grasp as to what the book's about, how I tell the stories, as it was said, my own personal connection with the stories. As a matter of fact, I'll share one with you if we've got a little more time.
Let's do it.
Awesome. I was at one point in my life where my son had been taken from me off to another state by his mother. And while I was dealing with that, I was very sad and very upset. And I was living down in the marina at the time. I was training people down there in a park, and I was hanging out on my boat. And I was so upset. the boat just seemed to be closing in on me. So I jumped out on a kayak. And I just got to going, Sparkle, and I was going, and I'm in a mad sweat, and I must have looked like I thought I was on fire out there, just going for it. And I went all the way out of the harbor, out past the jetty, past the breakwater, out into the ocean. And it dawned on me I'm not going to be able to out paddle the frustration and the anger that I was feeling, or the hurt and the sorrow. And I just I threw my oar away. And I sat there looking at the oar. And as I looked at the oar, I saw the beautiful sunset behind it. And it dawned on me, I may not have what I want, but who wouldn't want what I have? And it really helped me to pull my head together and get myself in the right frame of mind so that when my son and I did speak again, I was somebody who he'd be proud to speak to.
I love that. I may not have what I want, but who wouldn't want what I have? I'm going to steal that from you, Stephen.
Oh, please do. That's what the book is for. That is exactly what the book is for.
That is such a great quote. I absolutely love that. That is a great story. So I can't read how many theories did you say are in there?
Oh, well, I intended on 101, but once again, me, there's probably about 105, 108.
Well, I cannot wait to read this. Thank you so much for coming on my show, Stephen.
Well, thank you for having me, Sparkle. And you know what? Next time I'm up there in Fresno, up your way, I will come through and sign your book for you. I would be really happy to do that.
Thank you so much.
Maybe sit in with you sometime in person.
I love that. Thank you, Stephen.
Okay, Sparkle. Once again, thanks so much for having me.
Felt right in the morning, felt right in the summertime. It felt right drinking cherry wine with you. Just wanted to own it, just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here, oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you. Now I must confess here, oh, I must confess, dear, don't think I'm in love with you. Winter is coming and I don't know what to do, and there's no more use in running, no more running to you. And I don't want your loving, I don't want to be just friends, knowing all this time we were playing pretend.
It's a mystery.